You guys have been delightful. Thank you very much. Good night. Thank you.
CK, everybody, make a noise.
What's up, everybody? Rivera here, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. So I played that clip at the very beginning. Let me address, I have my earbuds in right now because I didn't feel like trying to find my microphone. I've been traveling all day. Right now, I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas, which I'll be performing, headlining the Looney Bin here in Little Rock from tomorrow, which is January 2nd through January 5th, and then I head back home to Las Vegas on the 6th. I played that clip for you guys at the beginning because I wanted for you guys to hear what it actually sounded like. Because people are up in arms because Louis C.K. just recently did a set and somebody recorded the set. I wanted to be able to talk about it like in depth a little bit. Which, don't worry, this isn't going to go on too long because I don't mean in-depth that way. I just wanted to just be able to say, okay, I heard the set, I read some of the stuff people were saying, and after hearing the set, one thing that I think is very wrong is that an audience member would think that it's okay to record over 40 minutes, because I'll put the link down below if you want to hear the full set. But it is a full set. It's Louis C.K. doing over 40 minutes of material, which a lot of people don't realize it, but that's what comics actually make their money off of when it comes down to it. Like, you know, your set is your money. So if somebody steals basically 45 minutes of your material, it's the same as if you go to a movie and bootleg the entire movie. You know, the club made money off the drinks, so there's that. But people were upset because he did a joke. Like, I read something where it said that Louis C.K. is pandering to the alt-right with his latest set. And it's like, that's not a special that he was doing. You can tell that he's working on ideas. And he said stuff that was more offensive about the stuff that they were calling him alt-right for. Like, the stuff that they were saying he was alt-right for was because he said that non-binary people want to be referred to as they and them, and where do they get the nerve to, you know, it's like they think they're royalty, telling you how they want you to refer to them. And then he says, you know, that he wants to be referred to there as in a location, and where's there, it's your mother's cunt or something like that. And it's like, whatever, you know, I mean, like, I don't know why people just want to be upset for no reason. When it comes down to it, he didn't say anything terrible about a non-binary people. He didn't say anything terrible about trans people. Technically, the thing that he said that I would think most people would find the most offensive, they didn't even mention. There's a point where he refers to, I can't remember who he was talking to, but, he refers to someone as a faggot, and then he calls him a Jewish faggot. So I thought maybe people would take issue with that if they were going to take issue of anything. But I really didn't see anything to take issue with. Then there was the stuff he said about the Parkland shootings, which, you know, in Florida, those kids, and I admit that that's an insensitive thing to do jokes about. But if you're at all familiar with Louis C.K., which I'm not really a Louis C.K. fan, nothing against him. I just have he's never been my particular style. He's funny. He's good. I know people like him a lot and have liked him a lot. But just for me, he's never been like one of my big idols or anything. So, and I say that just to like clarify and let people know where I'm coming from. Because a lot of times when you say stuff like this, you'll get people that jump on and they're like, well, of course you say that. You're clearly a Louis C.K. fanboy. And it's like, no, if I was, I would say that too, but I have never been a huge Louis C.K. fan. I know who he is, obviously, and I've seen him perform, even live, I've seen him perform at, you know, like the Improv and stuff like that, but I'm not at all a fan, or what you could call a fan. But when it came to the Parkland thing, it's insensitive, but at the same time, he is making the point that, you know, nobody wants to hear these kids talk, And you could say, like, maybe you want to hear him talk. So then it doesn't apply to you, and it's all right to say that you do like that stuff. You know, it's all right to say, or you do want to hear what they have to say. Just like it's okay for him to say that he doesn't care, and basically he thinks they're kids, and who cares what these kids think about anything. Suddenly they're testifying, and I'm just tired of people trying to make everything such a big deal when it's a comedian being a comedian. And then people bring up stuff like, how comedians are supposed to, like in the article that I read about Louis C.K. specifically, let's talk about the Louis C.K. situation specifically. In the article I read, they were saying that Louis has a chance to apologize and to make things right and use his voice to speak out against, sexual harassment or predatory behavior and that kind of stuff. And he's chosen not to do that. He's chosen to be defiant. Well, here's what's happening. And I already warned you guys about this before, and people got mad at me and acted like I was wrong for saying it. But the truth of the matter is, when you try to force people to apologize over and over and over, and you refuse to accept their apology, at some point, people are going to get like, yeah, fuck it. I don't care. I'm not apologizing anymore. So here it is. You like it, you don't like it. There's a point when Louis C.K. says in this particular recording, he says, I don't care if you're offended. What the fuck are you going to do? Take away my birthday? I already lost everything. He lost $35 million, which people get like, boo-hoo, he lost $35 million. And I get that. And I'm not like feeling bad for him that he lost $35 million. But I'm making the point that once you take $35 million away from somebody and you shun them, and they end up figuring out that a lot of people that they considered friends aren't necessarily their friends. And then there was the N-word controversy that happened not too long ago. Then there was people that have been like, or women that have been like getting upset when he's on stage and trying to protest it. When he's like at the Cellar in New York, they had a recent incident. And it's just like, you can't expect someone to keep apologizing when they feel like they've already apologized. After a while, it gets like, well, no, I don't have to stay in hiding until you say it's okay for me to show my face. I don't have to avoid doing what I do for a living until you, and, that's what Louis does. That's what he does for a living. He's been a comedian for years, and yeah, he got really successful at it, but I'm sure there's still a part of him that has to work or wants to work. So, and maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just likes to work. But nobody's going to wait for you at home, the offended consumer, to be okay to go back out. And the reason I played the ending of his set so you could hear the laughs and the applause is because the general public isn't upset about this. Like when these small groups are mad and offended about these things, and the general public is like, yeah, I don't care. It's either funny or it's not. I laugh or I don't. I can't always go with what your idea of morality is. And I know that I've already covered where they talked about Louis C.K. Asking to jerk off in front of those people. And if you want, I'll link that, up here and you can check it out. But to me, it's like all of that happened. But at what point do we say, okay, he didn't sexually assault anybody. What he did was creepy behavior, and it was definitely inappropriate. But if he's able to sell tickets, or people are going to show up to where he is, and like I said, he didn't do anything that was illegal. Inappropriate? Yes. Illegal? No. Actual assault? No. Creepy? Yes. I agree. So as far as that goes, I'm in agreement with you. So I'm on your side there. But if there was nothing that he did that was against the law, and people will still see him and still enjoy what he does, why does he owe you to stay at home until you feel like he should be able to come out? Like, that's what I would wonder when it comes to the outraged minority, which is what it's turning into. And it's very unfortunate that this is happening this way, just because a lot of people are starting to lose sympathy for these cases, because they're just like, yeah, well, you're going to be mad no matter what it is. And you're going to expect people to keep atoning, even if they don't feel like they did anything wrong, or even if they feel like they've already apologized. It's like, we can't wait for you to feel like it's okay for Louis C.K. to show back up. And every once in a while, he's supposed to like Groundhog's Day it and look out to see if there's an angry shadow. And if there's an angry shadow, then he's got to go back in the hole. And if there's not an angry shadow, then he can actually come out like Summer. It's just not the way it's going to work out. So, you know, you can keep being upset if you want to, but I would really tell the people that are offended about everything that at this point, it's really beginning to hurt your own cause, because the average person is just starting to get, and I know because I deal with a lot of the average people. That's who I'm around all the time, is the average person. And people will even get mad at me for saying this kind of stuff, but that's a perfect example. I'm not trying to be at all inflammatory right now. I'm not at all trying to be rude. I'm not trying at all to take away anybody's voice, including Louis. I'm just saying you're all right to not like him and decide that you don't want to hear him, don't want to see him. You're not going to play the recording. But I get the feeling that more people listened to that recording that didn't like him than people that did. And people that were indifferent didn't listen anyway. So it's really the people that claim to hate him that are listening to it and pumping up the views. So whether you like it or not, you're making it so it's got 407,838 views. So, and it has been up, this particular one. And like I said, I'm going to include the link so you can check it out for yourself. It's only been up since December 30th, and it's already got like 500,000 views. So when you have people that are watching it like that, and you got to figure a fair amount of them are the people that supposedly hate him, you're making it look popular. And then as far as likes to dislikes on YouTube, there are 13,000 likes, 1.1 thousand dislikes. So that's people being down with it by a lot. So I don't really know what it is people think is supposed to happen with that. Then there were people hitting me up about the Tiffany Haddish situation. Tiffany Haddish bombed last night when she was performing in Miami. I can't remember the name of the venue. Really not important. A lot of people are talking about it and wondering, is Tiffany Haddish done? Okay, let me say two things. One, that's a part of being a comedian. Any one of us could bomb on any given night. That's just what it is. No matter how good you are. Some days you're feeling a little bit sick. Some days you're tired. Some days you're tired of doing your material. Some days you're distracted. Some days sad stuff has happened. You know, like, it's a lot. And you're on stage. I was talking about it with the comedian that I did my podcast with, Unbothered by Rivera. That'll also be in the link. Jocelyn Sharp is her name, and we were talking about it last night. And it's just like, sometimes you have a million things on your mind when you're on stage. So if you have a million things on your mind, and then you get on stage and you're not able to shake that, and you're not necessarily, and New Year's Eve, for anybody that doesn't know, I used to always want to be on New Year's Eve shows. I used to always be like, I can't wait to be on New Year's Eve show, until I actually did New Year's Eve shows. And I did some of the best New Year's Eve shows, because I did a New Year's Eve show, or maybe it was two, with Joe Coy, which, you know, his stuff sells out. That's when I was featuring for him. And his stuff sells out, and his people show up, and there's so much love in the room, but it's still New Year's Eve, and they still get drunk. So they're not they're not the most focused audience. Usually they can't wait to go out and party afterwards. They're drinking more than they should at a comedy show. I'm not saying that. I know some people are going to get like, what's more than they should? That's how you guys make money. And you're right. But at the same time, there does get a certain drunkenness in the audience, or a certain level of drunkenness in the audience, where like, I can't perform for these people. Like, yeah, I mean, like, I want to, but they're shouting and they're drunk, and this lady's puking, and it's what it is, you know? And all of us as comedians have had to deal with that. And the comedians that are saying that she bombed and so she's no good, because there are a few, I should say, open micers, because I think any comedian that's ever worked New Year's Eve understands that that's not always the best gig. And she admits that she felt a little bit off. So I'm not feeling at all that this is an indication of Tiffany Haddish's career being over or anything like that. I like Tiffany Haddish a lot on a personal level. I've always known her to be a nice person, and I've said it before, a lot of people that did comedy in LA know Tiffany Haddish on a person-to-person level. So for me, knowing her, knowing the way she is, knowing her spirit, knowing her work ethic, this is just going to serve as inspiration for her to get better and continue to move ahead. And I don't see this as like a career-ending type of thing. This is just, and she didn't handle it the wrong way. She just said that, that it's going to end up on TMZ and people are going to be like, Tiffany Haddish bombed, and she fully owned it while she was on stage. I didn't see her at all lashing out on the audience. Like, that's what I think would turn people if somebody's like, well, it's because you guys suck as an audience or whatever like that. But she didn't go that route. She just was like, having an off night, and she admitted she's having an off night and that people were walking out. But even like in your best shows, some people are going to walk out because they have to go to the bathroom, because their babysitter called, because their kids called. There's different things that'll make people walk out during your show. And sometimes it's not personal on any level. Sometimes there's medical reasons that people walk out. And I read where a couple of people were saying that, they walked out on her because they didn't think she was funny, which that's your right. And there was one guy that was like, if she didn't feel like she could do it, then nobody made her be there. And it's kind of like, well, if you're Tiffany Haddish and you're performing at a venue like the venue she was at, which looked like a pretty big venue, you probably did have to be there. You probably did get a lot of money to be there, and it was arranged months in advance, and they've been promoting it, and they've been selling tickets. So I know that even at my level, which I'm not pretending to be on a Tiffany Haddish level at all, but I know even at my level, sometimes I'm obligated to do things, and I have to be there. Like, it's what it is. If I'm not there, it's going to be unprofessional. It's going to look unprofessional. I'm going to lose work. I'm going to lose money. So it is what it is. And that's what comedy is. So when people ask me about those things, I don't mind talking about them at all, the Louis C.K. or the Tiffany Haddish thing. But just when it comes to both, you're not always going to like what I have to say. And I know that most of the comics that I've talked to in the last couple of days that have mentioned the thing about the Louis C.K. haven't been on the side of some of what I've seen online where people are like outraged and upset. Most of the comics that I've talked to have been like, you know what? It's hard enough. And I'm not going to shit on another comic no matter what their level is, because maybe they say something I don't agree with. I say something people don't agree with. I say a lot of stuff people don't agree with. You can listen to my album, Rivera, iTunes. You can buy it there, or you can listen on Spotify and Pandora. But Rivera, you can check it out. It's named after me. I'll even include the link below too. And if you, like, by today's standards, all of that, or most of it, would be considered problematic. And I don't care, because it's a album that I recorded based on my life experiences, and I think that that's what a lot of people that do comedy feel like. They feel like, yeah, this is me speaking from the heart, and you may not like what my observations are or what's been even presented to me. I don't even like some of the stuff that has been presented to me. I just found a way to make it funny, and I think that's what people need to remember with comedians. Like, we're not here to be your moral voice. That's not the way it works. We're just people that have found a way to say things in an entertaining way, in a funny way, in a way that makes you laugh. And some people are willing to pay to come see us. And some people are willing to pay us to perform. So it's not about what you think it's about when it's like, well, it's a comedian's job to punch up. No, it's really not. And it never has been. It's a comedian's job to punch in every direction. That's why sometimes we even hurt ourselves. Like, I know that if I were to think about my worst moments in stand-up, it's when I've accidentally said more about myself than I was comfortable saying on stage. And I refer to it as feeling like, it's almost like an out-of-body experience where you feel like somebody is reading your diary and you can't stop them, but that person is you. And you're like, why are you reading this? Why are you telling these strangers this stuff about me that's the worst stuff in the world that you could tell them? But they're laughing, and that comedian part of you is just telling this like it's a joke, like it's a story. And it's the worst violation when you do it to yourself, but it's something that happens. So my point is, if we'll even do it to ourselves inadvertently, because when I did it, it wasn't like my plan. I didn't write that stuff down. I just got on stage and this is what naturally just came out. So I went with it, which I'm sure is what happens a lot of times. People get offended with comedians. But if you will even hurt ourselves, then of course there's a chance we're going to step on your toes as well. And that's what I would say about it. If you want to know where I'm at, Louis C.K. is a person that's just gotten tired of apologizing. Maybe you don't agree that he should be done apologizing, but I also don't think that just because he said a couple of things that people don't agree with suddenly means he's trying to appeal to the alt-right. Like, that seems like a huge jump. Like, now, all of a sudden he has to be a Nazi on some level or a white supremacist of some sort just because he said something about pronouns in Parkland. And then Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany's going to be great, and she knows it. So she's not worried about this, and she shouldn't be. But that's where I'm at with it. Let me know what you guys think. I mean, like, I'm open to hearing it. I'm not going to argue. If you try to offend me, like there's a lady that tried to offend me the other day, and if you saw, I posted on my Instagram, @official Ty Rivera is my Instagram. That's a great place to see me because I upload all the time to my stories and stuff like that. Like that, I get to be a lot more active on. But this lady was like, and I hope this offends you, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, well, now that you said you wanted to offend me, there's no way you would offend me. Besides, how would you offend me anyway? You're a stranger on the internet. Like, stop trying to troll. And it was in between Christmas and New Year's Eve. It was like the day before New Year's Eve, I believe. And I just felt like, why is this person lonely enough that they're trying to troll strangers on the internet, hoping somebody will pay attention to their opinion or care about their opinion, when really you should be enjoying family time? That's what I was doing. I just happened to check because I got a notice on my phone, and I was like, I'll check out this notice, and then it's this woman trying to offend me in the most basic way ever. It was like, you're not even talking about anything that would offend me. So that's where I'm at. All the links that I referred to and said were going to be below are below. So if you guys want to check that out in the description box, it will be there, and you can let me know where you're at. This has been Ty Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world.